The biggest difference between cryptocurrency and traditional financial technologies is that the former is decentralized and the latter centralized. Now, decentralization has therefore been a hot topic ever since the first Bitcoin block was mined in 2009. And with regulators around the world turning their sights on cryptocurrency, it's more important than ever. Today, I'm going to explain what decentralization means, take you through the different layers of decentralization in cryptocurrency, and consider which cryptocurrencies are the most decentralized. Before we define any terms, I need to make sure I don't get burned. Make no mistake, I am not a financial advisor, so I can't help you earn. What I am is an entertainer and educator who can help you learn. Please contact a financial advisor if your portfolio has you concerned. If this is your first time in my abode, my name is Guy and many consider me to be a crypto pro. That's because I create some of the highest quality crypto content you will ever know. Coins, tokens, news, reviews, and other valuable knowledge that will help you grow. If you want to make sure you don't miss a video, subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell down below. So, now that you have that information, it's time to discuss decentralization. So, let's start with what decentralization is and why it's so important. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, quote, decentralization is the process by which the activities of an organization, particularly those regarding planning and decision-making, are distributed or delegated away from a central authoritative location or group. I reckon that sums it up pretty well. Now, believe it or not, but decentralization is a political philosophy that emerged in the aftermath of the French Revolution. Decentralization fits under the broader umbrella of libertarianism, another political philosophy associated with the French Revolution, which puts liberty above all else. Liberty is arguably what cryptocurrency is all about, hence why the blockchain networks which underpin it are often designed with decentralization in mind. As you'll soon see, however, it's not just decentralization at the blockchain level that matters, and in many cases, being centralized at other levels makes decentralization at the blockchain level irrelevant. It's also important to note that decentralization is a spectrum, and there's bound to be some disagreement about where that line lies for each of the layers of decentralization I'll be discussing. For example, if a cryptocurrency has 1,000 validators, is it decentralized? What if they're all based in the same region? What if they're based in different regions but are all operated by the same entity? What if it's different entities in different regions but the hardware they're using is all manufactured by the same company? Food for thought. If you're wondering why decentralization is so important, it's mainly for two reasons. The first is the most obvious, and that's security. When a cryptocurrency is decentralized from top to bottom, it's almost always extremely secure because there's no single point of failure. It also creates censorship resistance, as there's no central authority that can decide what you can and can't do with your digital property. The second reason why decentralization is important is the one I hinted at in the introduction, and that's crypto regulations. This is because a truly decentralized cryptocurrency is next to impossible to regulate, as there's no identifiable individual or institution that can be coerced or sanctioned. In other words, if a cryptocurrency is truly decentralized, it's very difficult, if not impossible, for a central authority to shut it down. This is why Polkadot founder Gavin Wood is a huge fan of crypto regulations. Regulations will destroy the crypto projects that are not truly decentralized, the ones that are really not all that different from existing financial technologies. If that didn't give it away, Polkadot is one of the few crypto projects that's starting to take decentralization very seriously, and you can learn more about it using the link in the description. Anyways, the first layer of decentralization in cryptocurrency is what I'll call the developer layer. As you might have guessed, the developer layer is the individuals and institutions that create a crypto project. What decentralization means at this level is up for debate, but I reckon it's safe to say that the more unaffiliated individuals and institutions a cryptocurrency has, the more decentralized its developer layer is. Note that the key word here is unaffiliated, and I'd go as far as to say that individuals and institutions with the same backers or investors are affiliated, even if they don't know each other. Decentralization at the developer layer is important for a few reasons, and the first reason is, again, regulation. If you've watched any of my videos about the SEC, you'll know that it uses something called the Howey test to determine which crypto projects to go after. The short explanation is that if the SEC can identify an individual or institution that's creating the expectation of profit you have when you invest in a particular coin or token, then that cryptocurrency is a security which must be subject to strict regulations. This begs the question of what the SEC thinks about cryptocurrencies that have multiple individuals and institutions creating expectations of profit for a particular coin or token. Unfortunately, the best answer we have comes from a now famous 2018 speech by SEC Director Bill Hinman, who said that Ethereum wasn't a security because it's, quote, sufficiently decentralized. Because Bill never really defined this term, nobody really knows what sufficiently decentralized actually means. If there are, say, 12 dozen individuals and 5 institutions that can be identified as the primary drivers behind a crypto project, is it sufficiently decentralized? More food for thought. Now, the second reason why decentralization is important at the developer layer is the longevity of the cryptocurrency in question. This is simply because relying on a small group of individuals or institutions for development means there's a high risk the crypto project will go under if this core team disbands, retires, or, dies. A good example here is the departure of DeFi developer André Cronje earlier this year. Many of the crypto projects he left behind now face serious uncertainty, and I believe a few have gone bust already. The third reason why decentralization is important at the developer layer is the security of the cryptocurrency. This is simply because relying on a small group of individuals or institutions for security means it's much more likely to be compromised by either internal or external actors. A recent example here is the hack of Axie Infinity's Ronin sidechain, where the hacker managed to take control of the private keys belonging to Ronin's validators by hacking Sky Mavis, the company behind Axie Infinity and Ronin. This ties into the second layer of decentralization in cryptocurrency, which is the coin or token layer, specifically the distribution of a particular coin or token. Now, the coin or token layer is where the definition of decentralization becomes extremely nuanced because it varies from cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency, along with the effects of centralization at this layer on stuff like a cryptocurrency's market cap, its governance structure, and the security of its blockchain. For all cryptocurrencies, it's important that the distribution of a coin or token is decentralized, i.e., evenly spread out, because if a handful of whales hold most of the supply, they can easily manipulate the price. Some would argue that there's already an absence of decentralization at the coin or token layer with most cryptocurrencies, including BTC, and there's some evidence which suggests this is in fact the case. Check out my video about the Wyckoff method to find out more about that. I digress. For coins or tokens that are used in voting for changes to a cryptocurrency project's blockchain or protocol, centralization at the coin or token level means that a handful of token holders can easily monopolize major decisions about the project. Some of you might remember the controversial proposals for Uniswap that were tabled and passed by Uni Wales in 2020 and 2021, and Uniswap wasn't the only crypto project that was put in this kind of spotlight during that time. For coins belonging to a proof-of-stake cryptocurrency blockchain, if a handful of wallets hold most of that coin's supply, then they pose a security threat to that cryptocurrency's blockchain. I can't think of a proof-of-stake cryptocurrency that's been corrupted in such a way, but I know that many have come close, and some, like Solana, actively monitor how much its largest validators are staking to make sure their blockchains remain secure. Note that decentralization at the coin or token layer is also extremely important for proof-of-work cryptocurrency coins because of the price manipulation factors I mentioned a few moments ago. If too much of a proof-of-work coin supply is being held by a handful of whales, they could crash the price below the point where it would still be profitable for miners to process transactions on its blockchain. The possibility that miner profits could be squeezed is one of the reasons why I've been keeping my eye on energy costs, and you can find out how they could affect the crypto market using the link in the description. Anyways, the third layer of decentralization in cryptocurrency is the infrastructure layer. This refers to the different technologies you use to interact with or access cryptocurrency blockchains. Although the first thing that comes to mind here for many is cryptocurrency wallets, I would put centralized exchanges first in any cryptocurrency's infrastructure. This is because it's very difficult and sometimes impossible to get your hands on a coin or token without using a centralized exchange of some kind. I know it sounds a bit paradoxical, but for a long time, centralized cryptocurrency exchanges were surprisingly decentralized. This is because many of them didn't have an official headquarters, and sometimes even the company that ran the exchange didn't even really exist. It was just a series of subsidiaries registered in countries with little to no regulation. Sometimes these subsidiaries were established by different individuals or institutions, and both the people who worked at these exchanges and the physical infrastructure which made them work were spread out around the world in mostly unknown locations. This isn't the case today, as most cryptocurrency exchanges have been forced to register with regulators and impose KYC on their users. Now, not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing, but it is leading to centralization, as rogue exchanges are shut down. The scary thing is that we're starting to see something similar happen to crypto wallets, notably the Wasabi wallet, which recently announced that it would be making its mixing services inaccessible to select wallets. Decentralization at the infrastructure layer has also been a pain point for some of the largest crypto projects, the elephant in the room here being Ethereum. This is because many of Ethereum's applications rely on Infura for infrastructure to interact with the Ethereum blockchain, including the MetaMask browser extension wallet. As a result, many of Ethereum's services go offline whenever Infura has an outage, and though this has happened only twice in the last few years, it continues to serve as a wake-up call to the Ethereum community. Another big wake-up call has been Infura's recent decision to begin blocking access to any services using its technology where the end user is living in a sanctioned country. I actually discussed what this could mean for DeFi at the Coin Bureau conference last weekend. More about that in the description. Anyhow, the fourth layer of decentralization in cryptocurrency is the blockchain layer. Again, this is often the layer that's being referred to when you hear or see anything related to decentralization in cryptocurrency. Similarly to the coin or token layer, decentralization at the blockchain layer can look very different depending on the cryptocurrency in question. In some cases, the number of nodes doesn't necessarily matter. An excellent example here is Algorand, whose blockchain has thousands of participation nodes which participate in consensus. However, all transactions on Algorand are processed by a smaller group of just 120 relay nodes, most of which are run by the entities behind Algorand and its affiliates. Some would argue that Algorand is still technically decentralized because its relay nodes don't participate in consensus, but others would disagree. It's almost the exact same story with Solana. The Solana blockchain has over 1,700 validators, yet all transactions are processed by significantly smaller clusters of up to 150 validators. If you think other cryptocurrencies are better, think again. Almost every cryptocurrency uses centralized cloud computing services like Amazon Web Services for their blockchain operations. Case in point, Decentralized Exchange Protocol DYDX went down during the AWS outage last December, and a handful of other cryptocurrencies were affected as well. Some crypto projects like Near Protocol took the AWS outage as a sign that they need to make sure all their validator nodes aren't all relying on the same centralized infrastructure. And others have gone as far as integrating with decentralized cloud providers like Akash Network. Now, if you watched my video about Mina Protocol, you might recall that another centralization point that's present at the blockchain layer for many crypto projects is the storage of their full transaction histories. You could have a blockchain with thousands of validators leveraging all kinds of computing services, but if only a handful of them have access to the full transaction history, it's hard to say that this blockchain is decentralized. That's because if anything happens to that handful of validator nodes that are storing the full transaction history, it could become possible to seriously manipulate transactions on that blockchain, assuming it doesn't collapse altogether when an issue inevitably arises. While validators on some cryptocurrency blockchains store the full transaction histories, this isn't always the case. Come to think of it, I've only come across a few crypto projects that have been transparent about how exactly their full transaction histories are being stored. One of the few cryptocurrencies that makes this distinction is Bitcoin, whose full nodes store its full transaction history. There are currently around 15,000 Bitcoin nodes around the world, and I believe this makes it the most decentralized at the blockchain layer. The fifth and final layer of decentralization in cryptocurrency is what I will call the external layer. As the name suggests, the external layer is everything cryptocurrencies rely on that isn't necessarily exclusive to cryptocurrency. Now, this is where the definition of decentralization gets really messy, because the external layer includes things like websites, internet service providers, and in some cases, financial institutions. As far as I know, the website for almost every crypto project in existence is hosted on a centralized service. This might not be a problem for most crypto projects, but it is a problem for decentralized applications and other interactive Web3 technologies. Recall that Uniswap was forced to delist certain cryptocurrencies from the front end of its DEX last summer. This is why some DeFi protocols like Aave have since migrated their front ends to decentralized storage solutions like the Interplanetary File System or IPFS. Internet service providers are where things get interesting, because so far the extent of this effect has been limited to select countries banning internet service providers from allowing their users to access cryptocurrency-related websites. Even though this is extremely unlikely to happen elsewhere, it's been proven that it's possible, and in a worst-case scenario, we could see governments decree that ISPs stop serving cryptocurrency miners and validators. Luckily, there are cryptocurrency projects like Helium that are hoping to decentralize the internet itself using peer-to-peer signals on open-source infrastructure. More about that in the description. Now, if you're wondering where banks fit into the external layer, I'll give you a hint. De facto digital dollars. Stablecoins like USDT, USDC, and BUSD have some of the largest market caps in cryptocurrency. This is because there's always demand for stablecoins, regardless of market conditions. Most of the trading volume in the crypto market involves stablecoins as well, and that means they are one of the core technologies that make most of crypto possible in its current form. This is why a stablecoin crackdown is one of the biggest threats to the crypto industry, and all regulators would have to do is restrict access to the reserves backing the stablecoins in circulation, which are of course held by centralized financial institutions. As a matter of fact, most of the reserves backing the USDC stablecoin are being custodied by the one and only BlackRock, and you can learn more about how it became the largest asset manager in the world using the link in the description. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for, and that's which cryptocurrencies are the most decentralized. So, to quickly recap, there are 5 layers of decentralization in cryptocurrency: the developer layer, the coin or token layer, the infrastructure layer, the blockchain layer, and the external layer. I'll start by saying that there's no crypto project that scores perfectly on all 5 criteria, but the top spot seems to belong to Bitcoin. This is because there are dozens of individuals and institutions building on Bitcoin. BTC's supply is broadly distributed, there's no shortage of infrastructure available to interact with the Bitcoin blockchain, and the Bitcoin blockchain has over 15,000 full nodes. The only thing Bitcoin is missing is true decentralization at the external layer. But this is where every cryptocurrency fails, and I suspect not everyone would agree that this even counts as a layer. In any case, according to a survey of various crypto experts by Cointelegraph last November, there aren't any cryptocurrencies that come close to matching Bitcoin's overall decentralization. Ethereum and Monero seem to be the runners-up, but as I discussed earlier, Ethereum's decentralization still seems to be lacking on some layers. As for Monero, XMR is constantly at risk of getting delisted from centralized exchanges due to unreasonable crypto regulations. There's also Litecoin and to some extent Dogecoin to consider, but we all know these cryptocurrencies are also lacking decentralization at some layers, to put it mildly. By now, you'll have noticed that most of the more decentralized cryptocurrencies have been around for a while, and many believe that it's ultimately time that has allowed Bitcoin to decentralize so much. What this means is that it might still be too soon to say what the most decentralized cryptocurrencies are, but I have a feeling that Cardano, Polkadot, and possibly even Solana will be the next runners-up. At this rate, it looks like we will only find out for sure when the regulators come around, and given the exponential rate of crypto adoption, it's only a matter of time before they come a-knocking. You can learn more about just how much crypto adoption there's been by watching my videos about Gemini's and Bitstamp's crypto reports. Those will be in the description. And that's all for today's video about decentralization in cryptocurrency. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button to let me know. Be sure to subscribe to the channel too and ping that notification bell so my next video finds its way to you. If you're looking for more from me, Coin Bureau Clips is one place you can go. You can also tune in to the Coin Bureau podcast for in-depth discussions about crypto. I'm active on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well, and give you daily crypto updates on Telegram that will serve your portfolio well. If the crypto market is giving you hell, subscribe to my weekly newsletter for my insider show and tell. And I should also remind you that there's just 2 weeks left to take advantage of the 1 BTC giveaway, courtesy of FTX and FTX US. You can find the details about that using the link in the description, along with all the other resources I just mentioned. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Guy bidding you goodbye.